Welcome to Podcast of All Podcasts. Enjoy best moments of podcast history. Jack Johnson, Moonshine.
Well, I got one memory that's always been with me, and it's my dad would always get up to go surf like 4:30 or 5, and sometimes I'd hear him and I'd go out in the living room and he'd be getting his board out of the closet, like right in the dining room where he kept his board. And one day I remember the waves were really good, and it was really cool just getting up and going down there. The wind was offshore, and I just remember sitting there watching my dad surf, and from that point on I always kind of like felt I was a surfer, you know. I always knew that I'd definitely be surfing forever.
Joe Rogan with Aubrey Marcus.
Okay? Because Bill Cosby did some horrible shit, most likely, right? But he made a lot of fucking people laugh.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people. If you looked at the number of victims versus the number of people that benefited from it, you'd go, wow, what a complex situation this is. You have this monster who also is doing amazing work.
Yeah.
Like, he's making people so happy everywhere, and he's enforcing this like really positive way of behaving and thinking for people. Like, you could never imagine yourself swearing around Bill Cosby. You know, he was this upstanding PhD guy. I think in a lot of the ways that's the same way about religion. Like, if it wasn't for religion, and I'm not an advocate of religion currently, like to use it currently in the same form that everybody's using it, but I'm just saying if you looked at like humankind as a whole, if it wasn't for believing that we had these crazy rules, then we had to do good, otherwise the deity would come and strike us down. If it wasn't like the fear, literal fear of God that kept people from just raping and pillaging and doing whatever the fuck they wanted to, who knows how much longer it would have taken us to get to the place where you can fight over gender pronouns.
Yeah.
Right?
It's almost like a system that may at some point have been necessary.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know the people. We weren't around the people 3,000 years ago. We don't know what they would have done without the threat and that fear of God, because there was no DNA evidence. There was no, inspectors and detectives. So maybe it was necessary. But clearly now the dogma that's surrounding it is an impediment to our happiness, an impediment to, the better truths that are going to hopefully make this world a more positive place for everybody.
Well, I think you nailed it when you said like a program, because I think that's really what it is. It's almost like a program that human beings sort of manifested to travel to the next stage of development. Mm-hmm. Like, look, we're just not going to get here tooth, fang, and claw. It ain't going to work, boys, okay? We got agriculture, but we're still behaving like monsters. And they had to just figure out things to worship, things to love, things to cherish, things to believe in, and then they pass these things down as like this higher daddy thing. Because that's what it is, man.
The problem is a couple people got it, saw that, jacked it, and then manipulated it for their own power.
And then
to talk
Ronald
to
Reagan
God
came along.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that whole move of, all right, you can't talk to God. To talk to God, you got to come see me, and you got to build me a big house, and you got to pay me every year. And then I'll translate that message, to the divine on your behalf. Thank you very much.
My favorite version of that is, you ever see the dude who took pictures of himself in heaven?
No. That's awesome.
He went to heaven, pastor. He came back. He had a suit on and a white background, and he said he was in heaven. And he took photos and he put them up on Instagram.
Hell yeah. That's how you know it's good.
And he was selling the photos. He was selling the photos of him in heaven.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Well, I think in order for that to work for people, you have to break the brain early. And I think you break the brain by saying something like fear God.
Look at this.
Amazing.
I thought it was all white, man. Why does it have like a rainbow hue to it? Is that the same photo?
I think so.
That's weird. I could have sworn.
It might be another person.
No, it's the same guy. It's definitely the same guy. And that's the same photo. But the image looked. Yeah, see, in that image, it was white. In some images, it was white. I think somebody added something to that photo. I think they put like the sun rays and shit. That's the one. See the one above him with the suit? Not that one, right there. Kept going to the second row. Yeah, there you go. Click on that one. That was the image. It was just him with a white background. He said, "Yo, I'm in heaven, dog. Jesus loves you, bro. Jesus loves you. I'm telling you, man." And he was selling these photos. Slick suit, though. I like his suit. What's that?
Ruffle shirt.
What does it say? What he saw will burn your heart? What?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
what he
good
saw
or
will
bad.
burn your heart. I don't want my heart burned.
I think it's good.
Burn your heart.
I think it's good the way it is.
Imagine if there was a heaven and we were just talking shit. Imagine if like one day the space shuttle takes the wrong turn and it's on its way up into orbit and it just pops through this little hole and like, oh shit.
We're in heaven. Damn.
We're in heaven. Oh
was all
my
true.
God. And they get out, take their headgear off, they can breathe. There's angels hanging around up there. It's like,
I think it's just people have made that wrong turn, like Jordan Peterson was saying, of taking these things as literal when they should be metaphysical. Like, we all have the ability to create heaven and hell in our own life, which is a point he eloquently made. And then, when we are pure consciousness, what I've experienced, at least from all these psychedelic experiences, when the body disappears and becomes less prominent in your thinking and you are what's seemingly just pure consciousness, there's also that opportunity there for heaven to embrace all of the love. And then there's also the opportunity to look back on your life like, what the fuck? I made these choices that hurt these people. And that is this almost hell, so hell and heaven is, again, as above, so below. It's just a mental state, and that could be the very same mental state that we go across. But instead we tried to make it concrete. We tried to, Salvador Bosch, tried to create all of these horrible things of things biting you and burning you and eviscerating your genitals and prying you apart, when all of that is really a metaphor for what's happening in your mind, not an actual place.
yeah, like the mind of Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Like, how does Dick Cheney go to sleep without pills? What kind of dreams does that guy have? You know? Oof.
And what happens when he's liberated from all of the rationalizations? Like when all of those things disappear, like you get in the float tank and you see all these things that have allowed you to think a certain way, and then you go floating, and then all of those structures go apart, and then you look at that thing you did and go, was that cool or was that douchey? But he's never had that moment. He's never stopped the hamster wheel long enough to get still, to be able to look at his life from his higher self and be like, whoa, what am I doing? Look at all this momentum. Look at all the software viruses that my open source consciousness has picked up along the way. These different fears, these different greeds, these lusts for power, these different things that have created this thing that's never stopped. And the momentum's never gotten quiet enough for them to really analyze it.
Dude, they kept that guy alive with somebody else's heart.
Yeah.
They cut him open and put another dude's heart inside of him. That is fucking crazy. To think that human beings can do that. We could they could take out your lungs, man. They can replace your lungs with someone else's lungs.
I think that's all helpful to thinking about it, because the more we lose that attachment to this body as being like anything but the machine that's going to allow us to experience consciousness in the physical form. I think when we really look at that, then that's going to be a helpful kind of metaphysical underpinning. So we're not so, caught up in these in these elements that are causing us so much discomfort and suffering.
Right. We're not trapped
Yeah.
in this idea of what we are. Yeah. But, like, isn't it inevitable? If they come up with bionic eyes to let you stare at the sun, you can watch Netflix on them. And they're way better than regular eyes. And they give them to people who lose their eyes first. And then people start going, scoop these fucking shitty bitches out and give me some of them good eyes.
Yeah.
And you get them good eyes, and you start, I mean, everybody has the good eyes. You just walk around, look at each other, you wink. You know, I got the good eyes, you got the good, you can see each other. You could fucking read sports scores flying in the sky.
Just a hardware upgrade.
Yeah, an upgrade. You can have binocular vision. You can decide to zoom in on things far off into the distance.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you do that? What do you like seeing out of your shitty old fucking bloodshot
Regular
eyes?
Yeah.
Bitch ass eyes.
Yeah. You upgrade the hardware, and then we just got to make sure that we're upgrading the software and eliminating the viruses, running those system checks to get all of these bad programs out of our head, get the better metaphysical truth programs like the Platinum Rule, like, everybody is you living a different life, treat them as such. Like, get some of these other software programs running, discard the old ones, then upgrade the hardware all you want. But both have to kind of come in conjunction. Otherwise, we'll do what we did with technology elevating faster than consciousness. Technology elevates faster than consciousness, and we just fuck each other up better.
Yeah, we definitely do that. I think also technology is just, it's just trying to get us more and more addicted to it. Yeah. I was thinking of this the other day when I was flying back from Hawaii. I was thinking of how many people I see stare at a phone. At the airport, at the fucking mall, at a restaurant. Myself, I'm staring at my own phone. I'm not immune to it. We're all staring at fucking phones. And I'm like, if I was a pilgrim, if you you went back in a time machine, you grabbed a pilgrim, and you dragged them to 2016, and you said, what are you seeing? They'd be like, my God, they're all prisoners to the looking glass. They've been captured. It's like they're under a spell. They're under a spell. They stare at a fucking glass screen first thing in the morning. They check their email. They go to work. They stare at a screen. They look at their navigation system while they're fucking driving to work. They get home. They watch TV before they go to bed. They check their email again. They're just staring at fucking screens. They're living their lives through screens. I would think the looking glass, it's captivated them. I would think they were under the spell of glass. Like there was something behind. They're not moving. They're just sitting there in front of this fucking thing all day. There's almost no movement. Almost all the time, you're in front of a screen, you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
If you saw that and you had no idea what the fuck a television was or a phone, you were just a person from another time period, and you said, what do you think's going on? Like, well, these fucking people are under a spell. They're clearly under a spell. Like, it's giving them something, yeah, but that's what a spell is. I mean, when the hypnotic dancer dances in front of you, and then all of a sudden you don't even know where you are anymore, it's because you're looking at something cool.
You're at the strip club when that happens,
exactly.
By the way.
There you
don't know where you are.
Yeah, you ate the edible that Joey Diaz gave you that was mislabeled on purpose. This is what you're seeing. You're seeing something amazing, and that amazing thing is making you want more of it. So you're spending more money to get a better computer, to make better explosions on the bigger screen that has the better sound, and it keeps going deeper and deeper, and every fucking new phone has some new way to get you excited, and you're staring at the newest and best screen, and you're just locked into this sort of hypnotic trance of technology. Oh, it allows you to Bluetooth with your navigation system. It syncs up to your car, and like you're still staring at a fucking screen and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's happening. The same effect is taking place. You're staring at a screen.
I think what's interesting to me is I think we're in this intermediary stage where we're watching this rapid advancement and things are getting more and more interesting. But I think there's going to be a tipping point where technology is so ubiquitous that will actually it'll kind of settle into our lives in a better way. And maybe some people will get completely lost, but I think a lot of us are already reaching that point where it's almost too much, and it's forcing us to make our own boundaries, put our phone down. You know, this idea of put your phone away on this retreat. There's no phones here. We're starting to develop the counter reaction to it, but it has to get to the point of ridiculous in order for us to do, you know, have this kind of counter reaction. I think that's the way it's going.
I think that's like using them Fred Flintstone's brakes on a Formula One car. Good luck. We're going to put our phone away for a whole hour.
Right.
You know? It's like, it's just sitting there in your bag calling you, Aubrey, come touches us again. My precious.
Yeah.
My precious.
The only hope that I have for that philosophy I was espousing is I thought of something at Burning Man. And at Burning Man, there was, it's so much shit. Like you have no idea, you can't even fathom how many lit up, amazingly beautiful, fire breathing art creations, dancing people, half naked people, fully naked people, orgy tents, this crazy amalgamation. I mean, I was in this like Thunderdome. They rebuilt the Thunderdome basically, and they had people on bungee cords, and two topless chicks were smashing into each other on bungee cords, beating each other with foam sabers as like house music played behind, and a fucking fire-breathing dragon car like rode by breathing fire. Like that is ridiculous.
Sounds awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But after you've been there for a while, like you realize the times that you enjoy the most are getting high with your homies in the RV. You know, like that's the absolute best time you have at Burning Man. And those like just laughing and hanging, drinking a beer in the RV.
Don't you think that's enhanced though by the chaotic environment and the fact that you have this crazy feeling like, wow, we're here. We're here.
For sure.
That's kind of what goes on at a place like that, right? It's like, wow, we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, all of it contributes, but then just realizing like we can do that RV moment anywhere. Like you don't need to be in Burning Man. That is the most special shit. Like the most special shit is the simple shit. So you can take all this technology, it does all this awesome stuff, but it's never going to beat like that hike or that time you're hanging and playing with your kids or that time you went fishing or that time. It's never going to beat that.
Right.
You know, so, and you start to realize that when it gets to the ridiculous. It's just when it's on this kind of intermediary level that it's hard for us to figure out, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the only way to truly appreciate the natural world, to truly appreciate the wonders of the natural world is to be engaged in it separate of the electronic world.
Daymond John with Tim Ferriss.
If you're working at, with Ford, it's about ingenuity and it's about thinking, but it's not about the actual dollars. The dollars will come, but being creative. Why would somebody give you a book deal? Because I'm told that you got turned down by 26, 27 authors. I got turned down by 27 banks. I guess that's a lucky number.
Yeah.
What was the challenge of, getting a book deal and getting it out there?
Well, the first problem, if you want to look at it as a problem, was that I never wanted to write a book. So there was an accidental career, and I had a few students, I was guest lecturing at the time, recommend that I write a book. And I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I can't write. Don't want to write anything longer than an email. I'm not going to do it. And when the notes started coming together from this class, and a few friends of mine were like, you should just make this a book. You have all of this material that you could turn into something. I tried to put it together and eventually got introduced to a couple of the right people, which, by the way, actually I'm going to take a back step. So the person who introduced me to my agent was Jack Canfield, who was co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I think this is probably most relevant to The Power of Broke. The way I met him, people are always asking me, how do you meet your mentor? But you send him an email and ask them to be your mentor. I'm like, no, that's not what you do, because they have enough of a job. They don't need another full-time job, especially an unpaid one. I had just moved to Silicon Valley years prior, didn't know anyone, didn't have any money. I was driving my mom's hand-me-down minivan, which was like, it was horrible, not good for dating. And, and I decided to volunteer for a startup nonprofit that held events. And so I busted my ass as a volunteer, kept on taking on more responsibility, and kept on asking for more. And eventually they were like, all right, well, this guy's a go-getter. We don't have many of those among the volunteers because they think it's volunteer work. They don't have to work hard. And I was invited to one of their board meetings, and they chose me to lead the next major event. What did that mean? The important thing here was that I got to choose and invite the panelists. and the speakers. So I invited Jack Canfield, co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, 100 million plus books sold, the guy who created the Pet Rock, co-founder of Electronic Arts, the founder of Cliff Bar, all these people that I wanted to meet, right? So I had no money, no connections. The only thing I had was time, right? That was it. So flash forward a few years.
I want to stop right there for 1 second because, you bring up a very valuable point, that you went and you wanted to be mentored or you wanted to be in an environment.
Yeah.
And, I know that you and I and many of us mentor people, but a lot of people don't realize what's in it for the mentor.
Right.
Everybody comes in their pitches, I need, and then my pitch is, well, so I need to sleep less to help you, I need to do that, and then, so, your theory was, let me go and contribute, let me also go and, I'm going to get up before everybody, I'm going to go to bed after everybody, and I'm going to become a rock star there, and I'm going to add value, and that value will then return to me.
Right, and at the time, I had to borrow that credibility.
Yes.
Right? So in the beginning, I had no background, I hadn't been on the cover of any magazines or anything like that, so I worked with this nonprofit that did bring in media. So they, as an organization, had people from Forbes and, whether it was the TechCrunch of the day, whatever, would show up, and that's why the panelists wanted to come.
Got it.
And so flash forward many years later, and I never bugged Jack, I never asked him to mentor me, just every once in a while, if I had a real life decision question, and it was not frequent, I would send it to him. And eventually, many years later, and we're still friends, but he's like, you should make this a book. And before I knew it, he's like, I'm introducing you to this person, this person, this person, this person. All right, so that's how I met the agent, who was, at the time, a brand new agent. He was a superstar editor, but a brand new agent. So he also was in a situation where he had no resources, no reputation as an agent. And then we went out to sell the book together, and got turned down violently by almost everybody. It wasn't just a polite no, thank you. It was violent. This is garbage. Yeah. Who is this idiot to tell me? How old is he again? To tell me A, B, and C. Exactly. People were very, very offended in some cases, which is still kind of mystifying to me. But
let me ask you something. With all those turn downs by what you would say would be individuals who know the world, they know the pulse, and they're telling you it's crap.
Yeah.
Now, there's the fine line of we are in love with our product, and we're too in love where we're not taking reality in hand.
Yeah.
Was there a way that you were measuring it going, no, I'm taking the pulse here or there, and I know I'm onto something because we have to be realistic. Not all entrepreneurs or people are going to get an A.
Oh, for sure.
90% going to get an F, right?
Yeah, right.
At what point did you say, this is not an F, it's an A, or even a B?
Yeah, what gave me confidence, I think there were two things. So, the first was I'd been testing this material on live classes for years. And I always did feedback forums, and I knew what people responded best to. I knew how to hit a pulse. The people who were in a position to buy my book were not my target audience, and so it didn't register for them. They didn't have the same pain points, maybe.
Got it.
But it was demoralizing. I mean, 20 plus rejections and not mild rejections. It was really kind of demoralizing. I started to doubt myself a little bit here and there, but. I believed in the value of the content because it was the true story of my experience and what had worked for me. And I'd written the book, what I'd written at that point at least, basically as an email to two friends. And two very specific friends with very specific problems. And we had one meeting left, I remember, because I went to New York, flew to New York to go to these in-person meetings with my agent. It was just like, no, goodbye, no. And this sounds like straight out of a movie, but it's true. The last meeting was with Crown. And the Crown is an imprint, basically a subdivision of Random House.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, well, all right, this is the last meeting, so hopefully I'm going to be the most polished, right, number one. And we had the meeting, and you can kind of feel a meeting if it's working or not, and it wasn't working. And so I'm sitting there, and people are getting it, like intellectually, they're like, okay, I get it. But they weren't having the visceral response. Right. And at the time, there was a guy named Steve Ross who was in charge of saying yes or no. He was the guy, and he was way down at the end. It was one of those kind of like Death Star meetings. They do it at CAA and all these places where they bring in like 30 people, and I'm like, I don't even know I can't remember the people's names. And I remember that towards the very end, Steve was like, is there anything else you'd like to say before we kind of cut, and then we can follow up with you? It was one of those like, don't call us, we'll call you kind of like lead ups. And I was like, oh God, here comes number 30 or whatever. And I told him, I was like, absolutely. I said, I don't half-ass anything. And this is paraphrased, but it was just like, if you look at my records, whether it's in sports, whether it's in tango, whether it's in anything, like, I will do anything required. I will kill myself if necessary to make this book a bestseller, and it will be a bestseller. You guys should buy it. And he was just like, that's ballsy. And he's like, and that's that. Later, I had no idea like how the decision-making process went, but then about a year or two later, word came back to me. They're like, yeah, it was that last thing you said. It was that was the end of the meeting.
How fast did they go to contract or let's start writing or let's start putting it together after that?
Once they also got it at a very good price, right? So it's a balance of factors, right?
Sure.
But they're like, all right, this guy seems crazy enough.
We're managing our expectations. We're not paying a lot for it, and this guy is a workhorse, probably.
Right. And they're like, we place bets all the time. Like, all right, sure. Like, this guy seems crazy enough. And it took just a couple weeks. Within a couple weeks, it was time to write.
Well, that's great. You know what? And honestly, I never heard the details of that story, but it has all the personality to a traditional Power or Broke theme, which is, number one, you didn't overburden the potential mentor, whoever it was. Number two is, that person, and it happened with that potential mentor as well as at the end of this part of your life, the decision-making person said, he's going to do it with or without me, and I want to be part of the ride.
Yeah.
I think also that as being turned down by 27, publishers, I think that there's a couple of things here. You had proof of concept, and that's what made you believe that you can go because you had already tested it.
Yeah.
I also think that a couple other things. There's one thing I believe. If everybody loves it, you get the lowest common denominator. I believe so. I think that it's that.
Or they're lying to you.
Or they're lying to you. And, and a hard no is at least better than maybe I'm saying, maybe I'll call you back.
Yeah, right.
Right? So I think that all exercises exactly what I try to tell people and we share with people is the power of broke. And then now, we have the book.
Yeah.
It's somebody believed in you now. And the other one I like, the point is, that Asian that nobody was working with?
Yeah.
Chris Hardwick with Metallica.
Exactly, it's a totally different thing. Totally different. Yeah. But I always wonder, like, when you are when you're such a defining force in something as you guys are, do you ever feel trapped by that? Where you're like, God, I'd really love to do, but it's just weird. I think we kind of just gotta like make this. Or do you write stuff and you go, that's not really a thing I can use?
I'm my guilty pleasure. One of my guilty pleasures in music is ragamuffin. Which is Jamaican rap.
Yes.
There's no way that anyone's going to see any sort of ragamuffin stuff from this corner, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, I think,
to listen to it.
I think it's like the way you're putting it is true. You can think of it as, wow, there's this golden cage, this golden prison that we're in that I can't really do what I want to do, but there's so many other things that we get to do.
Of course.
That no way we'd be doing without this gift. But yeah, wanting to try to do something else, and then you realize that this is why we're here. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that is what happens. Whether it's you want to, Kirk's had you've been doing festivals like horror festivals,
nice.
Car shows I do, and all things like that. We have our hobbies, and those keep us happy outside of there. But I think the thing I'd like to do most that I haven't been able to in a long time is just go to a festival and hang out and watch bands and just sit on a blanket with my family or something and just like hang out with your buddies at a gig.
God,
that's hard to do.
That sounds so fun. I mean,
want to come?
Can I? Right. Yeah, sign me up.
Bring the pizza sauce.
I feel like
I will.
I want pizza all day. I feel like that would be fun for a bit, and then you go, I gotta go to the bathroom. Shit, the lines are really long. Man, I can't get through. There's some guy just threw up on my feet. Like all the stuff.
Oh yeah, this sucks. I forgot. The stuff I did when I was 16. Yeah.
My God, because I've been to some festival. Bonnaroo has a comedy stage, and it was really fun to do. But there's like people basically because it's in a field. I don't know if you've been to Bonnaroo before. You have, but it's in a field, and so there are these like tent villages. And you go, how do these people not die? It's in summer. They're drinking and doing drugs until like 5 o'clock in the morning. They pass out for a couple hours, and the sun comes up. There's no ventilation. They're in these tents. They're in pizza socks, basically. And not just, I mean, I guess when you're young, it just doesn't matter. You can just power through that stuff.
Absolutely.
Well,
Pay for it later.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of those people, those are new experiences. So they're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do more of it. And so, they have the enthusiasm behind it. When you've been doing that for like 15 years or so, over the course of time, the enthusiasm wanes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I would always see people that I liked, and as they started to get older, comedians or musicians or whatever, and they'd start to get a little, it's like, oh, this stuff isn't really the same anymore. Oh, they're not really touring as much, they're not really doing this. Boy, that really sucks that they gave up. But then you start to get old and you're like, I really like to be comfortable. Comfortable feels good.
Yes.
And so I always wonder like what that balance is, because I think creativity a lot of times stems from being uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable, or there's something so you got to express that in some way. But when comfort feels so good and we gravitate toward comfort, how do you?
I got you. Yeah.
How do you kind of make sure that you balance between like being comfortable but also still being able to be creative?
I always feel uncomfortable, even right now.
Wait,
is that uncomfortable to say that?
No,
I'm feeling some discomfort myself.
Just a slight discomfort.
Unfortunately for me, there is always going to be some kind of discomfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not hemorrhoids or anything yet.
That's good.
It's just being in my own skin sometimes can be uncomfortable. Certain situations,
No, Metallica's newest album is all about various salves and creams.
Yeah. Metalliroids. Yep. That's what we got now. Yeah. From being on stage too long. Headbanging forces your intestines out.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
No, but I mean,
don't push.
Yeah, uncomfortable is not a problem. I mean, being comfortable is the goal, and sometimes it's reached. But I agree that I struggle with that a lot, and people do question that. Can you be a comfortable artist, or do you have to be a starving or struggling artist?
Right,
to keep your creativity. But it depends on where it comes from, really.
Yeah,
I also think that to a certain extent, culture has programmed us to think that if you're not, uncomfortable doing what you're doing, then what you're doing doesn't have any sort of worth or value. You have to sweat hard for whatever you're doing, whatever it is, for it to be any good. I think that's been grilled into people. Someone shows up and they do something just like amazingly great and amazingly easy, people are like, man, look at that guy. That guy sucks.
What a lazy ass.
Yeah,
but he got it done.
I could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like my kids. I'll be like flipping out, like, where is this place? We're lost. Where's the thing? And they go, Dad, chill out. And they push a button and, we're right here. It's over there. It's like,
we were right behind it.
That's too easy.
We were right behind it the whole time.
You got to learn to struggle like me. Come on.
I know. That happens when I'm looking for something. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? It's right here, Dad. I'm like, ooh. And I feel like Fred Flintstone shrinking down to 3 inches.
Now, do your kids understand and appreciate what it is that you do, or are they sort of? I would imagine they're your kids, so they're probably just not affected by all of it.
My kids think that guitar playing is boring, but they like the music, and they totally can appreciate the music. Dad's band plays, but as a result, my kids, my oldest one, he plays piano and cello, and my younger one plays violin. Mm-hmm. They go to Waldorf school. That's why they play such exotic instruments.
Oh, wow.
Exotic.
Not guitar, bass, drums.
Cello? What is that called?
Where's that from?
That's crazy.
It's just like, where's the plug? Where do you plug it in at?
Yeah.
I really wish I had the discipline to learn an instrument, but it is, you always want to be on stage shredding, But no one really wants to, like, you gotta do the scales.
Do the homework.
You gotta do the homework. You gotta do
I'm still like that. It's like, I want to play solos, but I don't want to do the work. Kirk, just do it. You're good.
I'm sitting there doing my scales going, why am I doing this? This is so boring.
Do you still have
You're
to do
doing
that?
it for me.
I have
Thank
to
you.
do it. Yeah, of course you have to. Yeah, I have to practice scales. You have to if you're going to be a guitar player. You have to. Well, you don't have to, but if you really want to be a certain type of guitar player, you practice your scales. Okay.
How many shows are you guys doing this year? I guess this next year.
We're out, or we got stuff penciled in for the whole year. So, my body has told me to tell these guys that 50 shows a year is kind of what we can do.
Right.
So make the best of those. Yeah. And I think we all kind of agree in that. And, I'm glad you said it, James, not me. But 50 shows a year, that's pretty good. My body can handle that. Body, mind, and spirit all need to kind of revitalize themselves at home and days off for voices, things like that. So 50 shows a year, and it goes pretty quick, I'm sure. But I tell people, well, we're only doing 50 a year, and they're saying, oh my God, that's a lot. It's like, it's not really compared to what we used to do.
Yeah, I mean, we would tour for 10 out of 12 months. In the past, we had crazy tours where we would tour 12, 15, 16 weeks in a row. Doing 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
And
we came home and we were divorced and we broke. Yeah. Girlfriends were gone and we were addicted to a few substances and, we were fighting, but...
Living the dream.
But yeah, totally.
Yeah. Hey,
this is so glamorous. How glamorous is this? Yeah, it's so glamorous.
Hey,
where's my stuff?
But
in the driveway.
It's all a learning experience. We learned so much through all that.
I guess it is, but there, nothing really beats you cannot replace anything with consistent touring to build your audience. Because Rob Zombie was saying. He was like, yeah, we don't really get much radio play now, and we're playing bigger venues now than we ever played before. But it's just, do you find that it just, as long as you kind of stay on that sort of track of hitting the right towns and the right time frames, like consistently, that it just keeps, because then people start bringing their kids.
Yeah,
I
mean, in the beginning, like for the first 10, 15 years of the band, we pretty much lived by that process, Yeah,
we would go and play where no one else would play. And that, we're the working man's band. We'll go to the C, D, and E markets, right. And people would be so appreciative, like, oh my God, no one ever plays Bald Knob, Arkansas.
Yeah, or Delaware.
Yes.
Yeah. No one goes to New Hampshire, but Metallica did.
Right. And that says a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Even on promo tours, showing up, it shows your integrity, and it shows that, and nothing. Well, I say that now, but who knows? There's probably new goggles that show up, but nothing is better than going to see a live show. You can listen to it, you can podcast it, you can do all that stuff, but actually being there, and your senses get slammed. And it's not just the music, it's not just the band, it's the atmosphere, it's the people next to you, it's that guy throwing up on your shoes.
It's a complete experience.
Exactly.
It's everything. It's driving to the show, driving back. It's like you said after you saw a Star Wars movie the other night. After the movie, there was like a feeling of excitement when it ended.
Yeah.
Same thing with rock shows. When the band comes off, there's that moment.
Steve Irwin, don't mind the laugh track. It's ridiculous, but enjoy.
Tourism was, it was in its infancy back then, and it was so tough that Dad had to go fishing on the sideline. He had to grow strawberries and capsicums to actually support his passion, which was this wildlife facility.
Yeah. You grew up with the animals. They were your playmates, weren't they?
Absolutely, Andrew. Like in my house when I was growing up, Mum would have 12 pouches, make-believe kangaroo pouches set up on the backs of chairs, just virtually everywhere. So we'd have 12 little Joeys ranging from little pinkies all the way up to 1-year-olds. Koalas hanging off the curtains, with gum leaves stuck in there. Sugar gliders gliding through, like you'd be walking down through the house. Stay with me, mate. Where is he? You're walking down through the house, the next minute, cluck, on your bare back, you'd be a possum. Ah! ripping to you. And, of course, inside the house was just Snakesville.
Really?
Oh, crikey, mate. Chock-a-block full of snakes. Like, every wall that was spare had snakes in it. You know, starting a reptile park, which then became a fauna sanctuary back, and then it was like, whatever you could jam in the house, mate, because everything needed to be close to your heart.
Your dad actually reckons you've got a gift.
Yeah.
An animal instinct which enables you to deal with animals. What is that gift, do you think?
Yeah, well, Dad was kind of the first one to notice it, and good on him. You know, I'm just a product of my parents and my environment. And I was 4 years old, and Dad was catching snakes for the then Commonwealth Serum Laboratory, right? And he was looking for brown snakes and tiger snakes at a place called Bulla in Victoria. And so we're looking for tiger snakes and brown snakes, and I'm 4 years old, and I'm rattling around helping him, but, you know, I was playing imaginary games, imaginary armies, you know, shooting back at the... it was Japanese back then, because my grandfather and great-grandfather died in World War II, so it was the Japanese I was hunting. Whatever, please don't. You know, like, I drive a Toyota.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, hunting around, and Dad's over there, and here's this huge brown snake, absolute whopper, well over 5 foot, so I've come up on it, I've gone, you know, like, you know, got it. Dad, I got one. And he's like, what is he on about? And he comes up, look at this, Dad, and here's this brown snake, Andy, and it's up on my shin, like I'm wearing plastic sandals, no socks either. And here's this brown snake with its head right on my leg, and I've got a pin, and it's a whopper, it's almost as thick as my dad's wrist, and he's gone whack, you know, and belted me out of the way, crushed me like a bug, because I thought I'd got this brown snake for him, and I thought I was going to come out of this a hero, and he decks me. But he thought he saved my life, and, you know, for months he's scratching his head. How come that kid never got killed by that brown snake? And I guess he figured it out then. He's figured, this kid's got something. So, you know, he's watched this develop. Then Mum and Dad just propped me up. Every time I'd make mistakes, they just keep, you know, hang in there, lad, hang in there. And they just kept helping me and persuading me to follow my passion, which was wildlife. And that, in essence, you know, helped me to be who I am.
I'm fascinated with this idea of this gift. Do you have a sense of it when you're dealing with an animal? Do you have a sense of, I know what you're going to do, I mean, can you pick its personality, for instance? What is it in your head?
How on earth could I explain that? You know, I'm in Africa, right? And here's a pride of lions. I've never worked with lions in my life, ever. Righto, got a camera crew with me. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a pride of lions. Oh, I'm going to crawl up to him. You know, like last week, a Japanese tourist got killed and eaten by a lion. Probably the same pride that did it.
Yeah.
But for some unknown thing that goes in my head and my heart, I kind of know what I can do. So I get on my, you know, all fours and I go up to these lions and sneak right up to them. And Johnny Staten, who's around here somewhere, he's filming it and he's like this. What's he doing? And I get up to the lions and stand up and go, hey. And they go, wah! And run off. How do you explain that? And I don't know how to explain that. And I've never been bitten by a venomous snake. I play with them every day. And I've kind of play with them, and never ever been bitten. And I think that's, it's because, you know, when I grab a venomous snake, it's like, you know, going in on your shoelace. It's like, you know, people tie their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't really give a rip. Whereas me, it's like, oh, you know, you're very gentle with the shoelace. You know, it's like this, mate. You get a snake, like most people who deal with snakes, no fair dinkum, what they do is the first thing they do is they go for the head. Get them for the head, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's the sensation when someone goes for your head? It's like pretty threatening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instantaneous, you're like, you know, you're freaking out. So the snake starts freaking. So what I do is gently coerce the snake, hence muck with more venomous snakes than anyone else in the world and never been bitten. It's a gift.
We got footage here of you being, meeting a Komodo dragon. Let's check this out.
I never really understood the potential danger that I was getting myself into. I never quite realised that these two giant goannas saw me as a food source. And as I approached, unknowingly, they just struck straight at me, going for my calf muscles, trying to pull them out. Their teeth are like razors. One bite, one laceration, and I'd bleed out and be dead in an instant. The smell of blood would send other dragons into a frenzy, and they'd come from everywhere. Holy smokes, that was too close. Let's follow her.
Wild lizard.
Tell the truth. Is there ever a time when you're afraid?
Yeah, plenty of times. Unfortunately, in my line of work, I have to deal in some really heavy-duty places, like East Timor, for example. I was up there when there was some strife going on. I spend a fair bit of time in Central and South America, a little bit of strife going on there. Had a couple of nasty incidents as happened in Africa and Kenya, not long after the Nairobi bombing, actually. They make me scared, pretty scared. But what scares me more than anything is bringing my daughter into the world. The world has changed, Andrew, hasn't it? There's this dark cloud of terrorism, and she's been on 230-odd flights, I think, and she's just 5 years old. So we spend a lot of time in planes because I like to take my family wherever I go in the world. Yeah, people factor does actually scare the living daylights out of me, and I've seen some pretty awful, icky sort of things going on.
So animals don't scare you, but humans do?
Oh, fair dinkum, mate. They do, yeah,
I don't think you're alone in that. I want to talk more about family in a little bit, but I'm curious, in you off stage when you're not performing, is there anything in your wardrobe that's not khaki?
I got a pair of jeans.
Yeah?
I got a pair of jeans, and I'm constantly given shirts. I had the world's top surfers actually up at the zoo that I was filming with them, and so they gave me a heap of shirts. So I've got a lot of shirts. I don't wear them, but I get given a lot of gear.
Yeah.
Like surf wear and like the Andrew Denton show shirt and stuff.
Yeah. We're getting that to you. Yes.
Yeah, but basically, I got more car keys than you poke a stick at. How's this, though? What a kook. This is so Australian.
Yeah.
So I do this movie, right? MGM, the big MGM, rightio. Mudguts McGraw signs us up for this movie, and there's a lot of dough in it, and, and there's this person looks after wardrobe. So they just get me, packets of car keys. This is some of them. See how they're really nice and shiny? These are straight out of the packet, mate.
This is formal car key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Special show, special gig, this one. So, they, and how many will you need? So, big shoot, 40. No one done. Well, I'm only going to need, a dozen sets because, it's only easy to wash. And so I've still got, dozens of them left in the packets. Talk about rip off the big people, eh? It's it's all about what falls off the back of the truck.
And, to this day, the management of MGM are going, God damn! We've been swindled out of all our car key reserves.
That's right. It's all about what fell off the back of the truck.
Are you always at this level? Is there a quiet Steve Irwin?
No. Nah, mate. No.
Seriously?
There is. I had me shoulder taken off twice.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I was quiet then, mate.
Yeah.
And I had a few cartilage operations, so, stuck in the hospital with the drips and all that. And
But beyond being heavily medicated, do you have moments of repose, moments of I'll just take it in and sit quietly?
Nah. I have to do a lot of plane flights.
Yeah.
And, I'm a handful. I don't know, I haven't made it in the tabloids as the bloke.
Theo Von with Jordan Peterson.
Well, you're in a position of authority, let's say, and it's easy for that to become inflated. But it's not good for you and it's not good for your clients. You have to keep your feet on the ground. And they're not coming to you for sage advice, clients. They're actually coming to you so that you can listen to them, figure out how to sort their own lives out. That's a really important distinction. And then with regards to the people coming to see me, the proper attitude towards that, and I think this is true for any performer, is gratitude. You bloody well be happy those people are there. And so I'm careful. I do meet and greets after the events, and I'm watching myself to make sure that I'm always happy to meet the next person, because I know that if I start getting tired of it, maybe it's only from exhaustion, that I should stop doing it, because it is an absolute privilege to have these people come, and you should never take that for granted. And you should never think there's something, spectacularly special about yourself that's attracting these people, and that somehow you're above them and they're your fans, or, that there's this real power differential, even though that sort of manifests itself because people are so happy to see you.
Right.
But that's a dangerous pathway, and I truly am ridiculously overwhelmed and grateful and happy and pleased that all these people show up. And especially because of what also is happening, you know, what I'm trying to do. I am.
You seem like it. One of the things that I found most powerful in your recent episode with Joe Rogan, to keep citing that, but that you talked about how many people came out, and then you talked about a Latino boy.
Yeah.
You actually had it was fun. I thought the joke was pretty funny. How you're like, when two guys run up on you downtown, sometimes it's a little bit alarming usually.
Yeah.
But it was a Latino boy and his father, and they were talking about how their relationship had gotten better since they somehow gotten you into their life.
Yeah. Well, they were working hard. The boy in particular, the young guy, was working hard. In particular, obviously, his father was responding, but the young guy had made that a priority. He had decided he was going to fix his relationship with his father, and then it was working. It's like, well, that's just great. And I hear stories like that all the time, just nonstop.
And how does that make you feel though? Like, I noticed that makes you. What is that feeling though?
Well, I'm thrilled.
Right.
And it's funny to use that word, because I often teach people to negotiate for their salaries. It's like, okay, you're negotiating for a new job, you're negotiating for a raise. What should you ask for? That's easy. Figure out how much you'd have to be paid so that you were thrilled to have the job. And then tell the person, look, you got to be reasonable about it.
Right.
It's got to be within the bounds of sensibility, But you might think, okay, well, I need to be able to get up in the morning and think, God, it's so good that I get to go do this job. It's like, okay, how much do you have to be paid to do that? And you can ask yourself that about almost anything that someone asks you to do. It's like, okay, if I'm going to do this, what are the preconditions for me so that I would be thrilled to do it? And then, then you can tell the person, and they aren't burdening you, and you get to be thrilled.
Right.
And with what I'm doing right now, I am thrilled, because I truly believe that the way out of this idiot political polarization we're in, and the danger we're in, the existential danger, is for people to get their lives together, individuals, one by one. And every time one individual gets their life together, that actually measurably makes the world a better place. And I truly believe that. And so it isn't that I believe it, it's that I've figured out why that's true. It's not the same thing as just believing it.
Right. You've seen it.
Well, I've seen it lots of times. And I also know that, like, you're not an isolated dust mote among 7 billion specks. It's like your network, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're a really good example of that. You have a lot of influence. It's like it actually matters whether you have your life together. You're influencing a lot of people, and then they're influencing other people. So
it's teamwork. I mean, I noticed even just starting this podcast, right, which we started around the same time as yours, that I now show up for the podcast because the listeners show up for me. It's really fascinating. Right. It's like I'll come in at extra hours and do extra things because I want us to be a part of each other's lives.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great philosophy for making it work, because the other thing you have to do, and I've been trying to do this with this book, and also with I published this book, and I told the publishers, look, man, I'm all in. I'm doing everything I possibly can to make, and I mean everything, flat out, to make this book a success, because that's why I wrote it. I'm not half in. I'm all in. And if you're all in, well, first of all, that increases the chance of success. It's actually the only way of testing whether you have the chance of success. You got to be all in.
You got to be all in. And that means for anything. That means a book, a job, a relationship, anything.
You got to be all in. And it's even true if it's you might think, well, I work in a diner, and it's like, should I be all in that? It's like, yeah, man, you could make that a good diner.
Yeah.
And then everybody that comes in there could have a good 20 minutes, half an hour, a decent meal, a little break. They could have a good cup of coffee. They could have some fresh orange juice.
Yeah.
It could be a good part of their life. And then you'll learn how to make a good diner and a place that's hospitable to people. You learn how to treat people properly, and you'll learn how to treat your customers properly. You make your business grow. And then even if you stop doing that, even if you're being a waiter or waitress, which when I was a waiter for in many places, I've worked in many restaurants. It's like you can learn an awful lot doing that. And then if you want to go do something that's different, then you can bring everything you learn from that forward. And it's not trivial. It's not a trivial thing to be a good waitress or a good host or a good short order cook, man. Those are tough jobs. And if you do them well, it matters. So,
do you find? I find when I'm in, when I'm in your home country, when I'm in Canada, there seems to be, there's some infection in America. Sometimes I feel that we've lost a sense of like pride or a sense of self, that there is value in even doing like the small things. And in in Canada, I was just performing in Calgary for a couple of nights and had a blast. People are so nice. I mean, like, you could literally have one leg and somebody will come up and give you their other, their leg, and they'll just stand there, like a flamingo, and just, let you go live your life. I mean, people are just so affable and so kind. But yeah, but there seemed to be a little bit more sense of like Canadian pride there. And in America, I feel like we've lost a little bit of that pride, like in ourselves, but also even in our country, just an overall pride issue, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's been under assault, the idea that you should have pride in your country, that's kind of a fascist thing, or that you should, what would you say, have respect for your founding principles. That idea is sort of under assault, the idea that this is a corrupt patriarchy and that it's an oppressive state. And it's like, well, it's corrupt, except compared to every other system that's ever existed.
Right, we're doing a lot better than so many.
Oh, well, yeah, and the degree to which American ideals, but Western ideals more generally, have made their manifestation throughout the world is producing a massive increment in living quality everywhere.
Yeah.
There's lots of, look, it's not like our systems don't have problems. They have problems, like all systems. But as far as systems go, man, we're running on 8 cylinders.
Yeah.
We're doing all right. And so...
yeah, suddenly it's like we're doing so badly.
Yeah,
and I love how suddenly it's happened. Like all of a sudden, everything is horrible. And really, when you get out into the world, most things are fine. I'm noticing, especially in America, it's a lot of the media is just saying that things are bad. And then it's a lot of people sitting at home sharing that information.
Yeah, well, I think
when you go outside, it's not that way. That people are generally being pretty decent to each other.
I think part of what's happening is that as the classic media die under the onslaught of this technological pressure, especially television, because television has had it.
Oh, it's it's too efficient. It's efficient to the point where it's not effective, I think.
Well, and the bandwidth is so narrow and it's so heavily advertised, and you get turned into a commodity on TV. No matter how good your character is, it tends to turn you into a commodity because of the narrow bandwidth. And so I think what's happening as the media, and of course the print media, is just facing competition on every possible front, right? Because so many people have access to writing and sharing. Well, exactly. There's nothing special about being a journalist anymore.
No,
essentially.
And it's jumped the shark in the past year. Like it's fascinating how quickly all of that just hit almost rock bottom.
Oh yeah, man, it's unbelievably fast. Well, that just shows you how powerful the technologies are. But I think as the traditional media dies, they get desperate for attention. They get all clickbaity, so they exaggerate the polarization and the catastrophe. The best example of that is there's way more coverage of violent crime than there was 25 years ago, but there's half as much violent crime. Like in the 5 major measures of violent crime have fallen by 50% in the last 25 years. Like who knows that? No one. Oh, it's dangerous. The streets are dangerous. We're all at each other's throats. It's like, no, we're not. It's safer now in the United States than it's ever been. It's safer now than it was in the early 60s. You'd never guess that.
Well, and it's funny. I was just back. I went back to my hometown, which is a small town in Louisiana. And you said you're from a similar. We just figured out before we started about 4,000 people size town. And I was asking some of the teachers at my junior high school. I said, "Well, what is racism like here now?" Because my town was just poor black and poor white mostly. And she goes, "You know what?" And this is a girl who'd went to school with me and who's now the principal there. She goes, "You'd be surprised." She goes, "It's gotten so much better." She's like, "We just don't have, we definitely have some differences in class for sure still, but we don't have as much just outright racism anymore." And that was, and for that to happen, like in my town, like I grew up in a town, there was a lot of there was a lot of, when I was growing up, there wasn't even any black wealth. I mean, there was like the Dallas Cowboys, and I think like Eddie Murphy were the only wealthy black people that you even heard about in the whole universe. And then now, it's a lot different in America. Like you can go to Atlanta where you get to see like a lot of black prosperity, and some of that's just taken time. Yeah. But I wondered sometimes, like, man, will some of these smaller towns, places where I'm from, will they ever be able to get some of that, that guttural, like, vulgarity of old racism, of old practices out of our system, out of our DNA, and to hear that firsthand from people that I trust, teachers at this school, that's getting better. It kind of like, it was like, wow, because that's crazy. Because if you click on anything online, everybody's, killing each other over racist ideals. Yeah. So yeah, it's just the world that I live in, that I see, is a lot much better than the world that's online, and I think people are starting to realize that.
Yeah, I think they are too.
People are awakening so fast, and that brings me to authenticity. Like, do you feel like for you, because there's a lot of voices out there, you know, and you are on a platform now where it's bigger and people can talk more and people can, you know, nobody's clicking on the one sentence anymore because they know the one sentence, it's part of a huge conversation. They don't even get to know what it all happened. And now they want the whole conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to know who that is. But do you feel like for you, that you're coming along at a, like I'm 38, you know? I mean, I'm kind of a late bloomer, so I'm kind of maybe like 32 really, but I'm also like an old soul. So I guess I'm actually like, I'm back at 38. But
it was a quick trip.
Yeah, sorry, it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, I grew up in a time like, you know, a lot of our fathers and my friends' fathers, like, you know, they got divorces, they went for like younger women, or they, you know, they gave into this idea that they could have it all, you know. You know, I saw my mother not, you know, have to work hard and not get a kiss on her forehead before bed. You know, like she always had to be the one giving out any affection in our house. You know, I noticed that, you know, there's a lot of men my age who, it's not about the fight. There's nothing for us to do. You can't reprimand your children anymore. You can't fight anymore. It's more about lawyers. It's like, I just feel like there's a lot of men arriving at a point in their lives where they're like, what is it? Is there any value in me even being a man? And like our fathers were in wars, and our fathers were in military, and there was some, you know, I was an American, but I feel like there's this aimless kind of, there's a lot of men wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of confusion too, but
they're listening to you.
Yeah, well, men.
They're finding you.
Yes.
Like, it's like you're like this cool stepdad that showed up that actually like cares about our mom or something. Like, you know,
that's a good one,
not to put a pressure on you.
No, that's a good one.
But
that's a good one.
I'm noticing from some of my like esteemed friends, men that are way smarter than me, and men that have bigger hearts than me, and they're reaching out to me. They're so excited. They're like, "Oh, you have Jordan coming in today. You know, he touches me. Like they feel connection."
Yeah, well, I'm actually, as I said, I'm actually thrilled. And when, you know, and all sorts of people are coming up to me after the talks and on the streets and so forth and saying it. And a fair number of them are guys, often younger, but not always. And, you know, they want to come up and tell me something good that they've done. And I'm thrilled about it. It's like, good, man, get out there, kill it.
Yeah.
And the idea, like, because part of what's happened in the dialogue in our culture is that masculine responsibility, the willingness to shoulder responsibility, which is part of what factors into achievement and ambition. It's really the part of it that's only positive, is being confused with tyranny and oppression, and so that men are, in large part, being punished for their best impulses. Like, you want to get out there and like do something. It's like, well, doing things wrecks the earth.
Right.
It's like, well, the earth is wrecking us, so it's only just that we defend ourselves a little bit. Yeah. But it's also just wrong. It's like that willingness to go out there and contend with the world, to go on your adventure, right, and to take the risks, and the entrepreneurial risks, and the risks of discipline, and the risks of responsibility, and to buttress and support the family system and the community system. That's all incredibly laudable. But for me, it's more than that, because I think of it as a bulwark against hell. And I mean that both literally and metaphysically. It's like, it's actually vital that you take your place in the world and you find a meaningful, responsible path forward, because it's in that pathway that you find the meaning in your life, and that buttresses you against the catastrophe of life. And if you don't have that, you have the aimlessness and the suffering and the pointlessness and your own malevolence and bitterness. It's hell.
Yeah.
And then you make hell for you, and you make hell for your family, and you make hell for the community. It's like, none of that's good. And so whenever I see people step away from that and they're moving forward and they're telling me about it, I really think, great, that's a miracle, man. Keep it up. Like, it's really important, and I don't care what.
Thank you, folks, for listening. Tune in next week for more podcasts of all podcasts.
That's me. You ready?
Yeah!
What song you like to play?
Country Road!
Shoot! be safe.
No turning back, I'm just a mile away from home.
Sit here waiting, let me be patient. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize
you're always with me, waiting, willing
to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need.
I pray for light in times of darkness. What's meant to be will always be, though I control my destiny.
Well, you gave me, though you made me.
Be careful of the things you do, it eventually comes back to you.
Universal law that belongs so far. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize
you're always with me, waiting, willing
to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need.
I pray for peace in times of war. Destruction of civilizations past is consequence of forest fire.
Air we breathe, a gift from the trees.
What goes up must come back down. What goes around comes back around.
The things you do be done unto you. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize
you're always with me, waiting, willing
to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need.
I pray for light in times of darkness. Universal law, Babylon shall fall. The things you do shall be done unto you.
Nice. What's next? What's next?
Give voice.
Shoot.
I can't play it. Can you?
Yeah, I remember the chords.
Shoots.
Bird solo. Oh, nice.
Chew.
After this.
Give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice.
Hey.
Oh, 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 oh.
One more time. Don't wait, don't think, don't wait. It's what your capacity to sing, to dream, to bring whatever has to be brought forth, brought back, brought towards another winding path. Leading, leave us, lead yourself to a heart that trusts.
Give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. You got to give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. Give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. You got to give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice.
Don't hate, don't blink, don't wait till you're gonna be alone, afraid, atoned, so too afraid.
friend in need. Your heart, your soul, your heart ain't it enough to know. Do love, do give, do take some of the weight and go. Sing it away, away. Sing it away.
Bring us back in.
Give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. You got to give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. Give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. You got to give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice, give voice. Or you will never know what's deep in your soul. You. Chew. Right on, Jack. Hallelujah. See you later.
See you later.